Hello world, what's going on? We are back with another episode of the Likewise Podcast, episode 2. It's the one and only Tuu Ra. Today we have a special co-host. I'm going to let her introduce herself. Go right ahead.
Thank you so much, Tuu Ra. My name is Michel'Le, and I'm the owner of Wise Essentials. And Wise Essentials is a holistic healing brand. It was pretty much branched off of my organization called Wise Women Sacred Space, where I provide, a community space for women to heal together. And aside from, things like yoga, meditation, Reiki, sound baths, a lot of the women that came into my space were interested in actual tools to help them assist on their wise journey. So that's how Wise Essentials was created. And it's based off of the 4 core principles of what it is to be wise. And that's wholeness, intuition, spirituality, and empowerment. So yeah, that's pretty much, and I'm like what I like to call a mompreneur.
Nice.
So, I'm also a mother of a 4-year-old boy. And so, just running my business, my organization, and, just creating every single day, but also being a mom is what I am and whatever.
Love it, love it. So you're in Los Angeles, sunny LA. How's the weather today?
Yes, it's kind of warm. It's kind of warm, but I love it. I'm used to it. Anything below 60 is ice. So I'm loving it. It's real good today.
We've been trying to warm up over here. Yeah, we over here trying to warm up,
Right.
The weather's moody.
It's moody.
It's very moody. So, like yesterday was nice and warm. So today I came out like this, pretty much like how it was yesterday. And then, I'm all cold, zipping up, pulling up my collar, So we still not all the way there yet. All right. So yeah, we're gonna have a nice little conversation today. We're gonna talk about a few things, some things going on in the world. Where, I want to talk about this Kanye situation just a tad bit. We're gonna talk about a few things. We're gonna talk about that. But mainly what I want to talk about today is energy, life force energy, and why it's important for us to know that it's more than just what we've been taught. So in the sense that as we've discussed about astrology, right? Most people who are into astrology understand that everyone's wired a little differently at birth, depending on the month, the season, etc., that they were born, and this can determine the type of energies they have, the strength of those energies, etc., right? And then also we have something called constitution. Our constitution is energy that we inherit from our parents, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So if your parents weren't that healthy, if they are living a different kind of lifestyle, that can have an impact on the energy that we have. How strong we are, how confident we are. These all translate into those different things. So we're gonna dive into a little bit about that today, because me personally, for most of my life, I've always been kind of immersed in situations that force me to look at that, and it's also been the reason why I've met some very amazing people, some very dope, some very cool people like yourself. We met in LA, right?
Right.
Yeah, I came out to LA and I did a performance, performed some of my songs there, and it's an energy thing. We clicked. We didn't even see that this would be happening today. Look at this. Today we sit here on the second episode of my podcast. Huh?
I feel like that was probably a year ago, maybe almost.
It feels like it, right? I think that was it's getting close. A little over 6 months now. Wow, time flies, right? Okay. So so a lot's been going on this year. There's been I'm into Eastern astrology, so there's been a lot of shift in the energy. I know you've been feeling it. This year is not last year at all, right?
Not even a little bit.
Not like energetically. This year came in. At first, it was a little rough. It was like, whoa, what's going on? You start feeling like a different person a little bit, and you started adjusting, and then you started seeing it manifest in the world. All of a sudden now we're witnessing a war going on, like it happened overnight like that. But a lot of times what people don't understand is when these energy shifts come in, right? That's what it can cause. These shifts in energy within us also can cause changes, not just within us, but within the environment, in the social world, in the government, etc. So we're witnessing a war right now. We're witnessing people going back to, I'd say, what they've been missing, because this pandemic is kind of like feeling like it's almost over. Though, we having a little more scared. They talking about China and the UK right now got some stuff going on, but it seems like we're most likely going back to normal. And you could feel that, you could see that. You hit the roads and you getting that feeling, like that reminisce, like, oh man, yeah, I miss walking down the strip out here without my mask or, whatever it is, right? How's that been going for you?
Yeah, it was so interesting. It's literally 2 days ago, they just made it to where, all places, because I know they gradually wanted to open up the whole option to allow businesses to either allow the mask or not. And so for a while, there were a lot of places that you didn't even know. I'm a natural rebel. So even when it was strictly enforced, I'm walking in.
No mask.
And if you're not going to say anything, cool. But if you are, I'm not going to just go at it with you in your store, but I'm just not going to do it. So it was like, certain places where I would walk in, like, well, the last 5 stores I went to, it was cool. But now this one, you're saying, but just 2 days ago, it's been completely like open, allowing everyone to, whether they're vaccinated or not, to not wear a mask. Oh, so this was like about 2 days ago, right on the day of the full moon.
Oh, really?
Crazy that day too, just kind of being around, because I also feel like for almost 2 years, people were so used to certain like enforcing laws inside of the business. So it's like you see someone without a mask, you almost kind of want to say something, but it's like, oh wait, it's cool now, so everyone's adjusting again. We're adjusting again.
Yeah, I've been hopping on the bus all without my mask. Everybody still got their mask in. At first, I was like, why these people staying there? Like, and it's because I'm all on the bus without my mask and whatnot, but they can't say nothing now. Nobody can.
Right. So. It's interesting. I want to touch on just really quick.
Sure.
It's interesting that you talked about just kind of like the world, the impact that energy has, just not only in your own life, but just the world. But not to get super conspiracies or anything, but if we're just being technical and just using that law of energy and just seeing how on a global scale, certain things that you're fed energetically through media and through certain frequencies and through music, and then I just do feel though energy is so powerful, and Absolutely. A lot of elites and people who have that higher control of what happens on a universal scale have learned how to manipulate energy. So it's so important for us to not only be aware of that, but also use that knowledge to our advantage to work on our own internal energy so that it doesn't affect us when the world is all in chaos. Because basically us all individually in our energy field kind of manifests the reality as a world, right? Yeah. So if they can manipulate a whole nation and feed off this negative energy that they're instilling, the fear and all of that, with the whole COVID situation, the war and all that, you can now, whatever it is that they're feeding to us, it can literally manifest if we align with it, because energy is, electromagnetic. So, it feeds off of whatever is around it. So I think it's just important. So, just kind of discussing what life force energy is, just really what that is, because I think, in a lot of different lineages, or I guess, cultures, a lot of different cultures you practice, like in India, it's prana, right? Mm-hmm. And Chinese, culture, it's chi. Mm-hmm. So, but just kind of learning ways to ignite that energy within us, I think is so powerful, especially during this time.
Absolutely.
You know, it's real serious right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like real serious. The light switch has just gone off and on, off and on. And so, yeah, I think, you know, just kind of really, I'm glad that we're even having this conversation. You know, it's real important to have it right now, and to just kind of discuss what that looks like in like modern day, really, because these are just practices that we're learning from centuries ago, but how do we apply that now? And you know, I know to a lot of people that are probably going to be listening may have never even heard of life force energy or chi or prana, or, you know, how meditation helps with that. How does yoga, movement, music, you know? So, yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, as like when I opened up, I was explaining, you know, when we're everything, right? By to start the foundation, everything is a combination of life force, energy, and matter. Right? Everything around us. That's the reason why we can perceive it through our five senses, whichever, through the eyes, or if we're touching it, if we're smelling it. The reason why we're able to perceive it as something is because it has energy, and the density of it is what will make it a form of matter that we can actually touch, right? So in that same sense, when we're born, right, we're born with a certain amount of energy out of the 5 different modalities of energy, which I'll go over in a little bit, right? And that energy now will determine our talent, which talent is no more than a specific energy in abundance. So like, let's say, for example, if you have a lot of water energy, that'll give you most likely the talent to be good with people. 1, it'll give you the talent to, of course, be creative, intuitive, psychic, maybe even, right? But it all depends on what your definition of talent is, because everybody's different definition of talent is different. Some people might not see people skills as a talent, but that is a talent, because what is talent? Talent is something that's innate within you without you having to learn to do it. That's a talent. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Versus a skill. A skill is something you learn and you develop. That's the difference, right?
Right.
So, you know, we spoke briefly about the different energies. So there's, based on life force energy, it manifests in 5 different forms, right? That's water, metal, wood, earth. And what am I missing? Fire. Yeah, there you go, right? So with those, huh? Your favorite one? Yeah, definitely, right? It's a very necessary energy. It's the activator, right? It's that activation energy, fire. So yeah, talking about those energies and why they're important is because, like I said, these energies a lot of times are the reason why we have certain talents or don't. And some people think that because you don't have a talent that you can't develop it or you can't awaken it, right? Mm-hmm. But if we go back to the foundation and understanding of energy and what even gives us energy, which we're going to talk about next, is energy is the first place we get our energy is through the nose. And if anyone, don't try this at home, but if anyone doubts that, plug your nose for some time and you'll realize that you'll start to lose consciousness, awareness. You'll be on your way out. And if you didn't get any more oxygen, you would quote unquote die, right?
Yeah.
So that's evident, right, in that moment, letting us know that our energy, our life force is mainly brought in through the air that we breathe, right?
Right.
So that's one. Then also we have food and water, and then we have sunlight. These are the different things that give us life force energy. All that to say, the same way that we have this life force energy, it can be used up, depleted, which will then bring us next to the importance of why we need to make sure we're doing activities to keep our energy and our vitality high. Because the same way you need energy, the same way energy gives you a talent is the same way you need energy to do tasks, right? So I actually I like doing this so people don't argue with me, right?
Nice. Like, the proof is in the pudding.
So we're gonna go on Google right now. We're gonna type in the definition of energy. Okay. So we could, boom. So the definition of energy from Oxford. What are people from Merriam Dictionary?
Yeah.
All right. Everyone knows Merriam.
Right. We don't know her, but we know her.
Right. So the one I like to look at or read is the definition of energy as it relates to what we're talking about. It says energy is the capacity of acting or being active. That's what energy is, right? That's the definition. So if we go off that definition, then, right, the capacity of being active or being active, then if you don't have energy, what's going to happen? Non-active, right? Nothing, yeah. Right. So therefore, to do things in life, you need energy, right? You need an abundance of that energy because certain tasks are going to call for more amounts of energy, all right? Now, that's just the foundation of it. And again, like I said, depending on your constitution, like how much energy you inherit from your parents and, the time and location and month you were born, these also have an impact on it. But it doesn't stop there. And not even being fully aware of that is a problem. But then on top of that, now we're not being taught on how to indulge in practices like you mentioned, meditation, deep breathing exercises to keep the life force energy in a vital state. Or like me, I've been practicing Qigong for over 10, 15 years, which is like similar to Tai Chi. Yeah. Even yoga, anything that requires deep breathing and focusing internally will help with that a lot. So what energy practices are you familiar with, or do you practice yourself, Michel'Le, if you want to share?
So I personally, I ain't got to the Qigong level, but I want to. So interesting. I've been looking into it, just researching it, because it definitely takes a lot of discipline. And to have practiced it for 10 to 15 years, I commend you, because that is amazing. And I think the average person don't know like how powerful that is, right?
Yes.
To even be able to say that you've been practicing that for so long. It's almost like, I won't say it's impossible, but it's almost impossible to really move you if you've been practicing such a powerful tool like Qigong. But for me, I personally have tried, or every other day, I'll say about 3 times a week, I do yoga. I meditate every single day though. I'm not perfect. I'm always evolving though. So but I set the intention, on meditating every single day. So I start my day off with that. I have tried Reiki a few times, which like the practice of stabilizing your energy centers. A lot of times we have more than 7 energy centers, but a lot of people are familiar with the 7 chakras, which are 7 of those energy centers. And in Reiki, they focus on those 7 centers. And, it's the process of recentering them, because a lot of times, some of them are overactivated, they may be underactivated, or they just may be misaligned. Yeah. So Reiki is something that I definitely have practiced. Sound bath healing. Certain sound frequencies can also recenter your energy centers and heal certain energy centers in your body. So that has been amazing. I really use it on my son as well. And it's just a great tool for moms, I feel, because one, they love to do it themselves. So even just to get your child used to using a sound bowl, but also just using it as a tool to calm them down. I'm, learning how to, adjust with my child's behavioral, fluctuations as a mom, but also as a mom who is not trying to use the past tools that my mom used raising me on how to I'm trying to find the right term, not reprimand, but like not chastise, but
that is an okay term. I know people don't like it, but by definition,
I know it not to even know, but yeah, I mean, I get it. But yeah, so basically just finding ways, and I've learned, you know, even with that, just him being upset, his centers being off balance, you know, because he's also just learning how to operate in this world. And just allowing him to still be free and not, you know, constricting him, because I feel that was something that my parents did, you know, growing up, because they only knew a certain way. And since we are in this age right now where, you know, the veil is being removed and we're learning so much more and we're resonating with so much more, you know, I'm open to that journey and even just applying it in motherhood. So yeah, so just using those tools on him as well. So sound bath is another like method that I use to balance my energy.
Awesome. Well, I have millions, so I'm gonna start with you. I could go on all day, but we're gonna start with you.
I forgot to mention crystals too, but we'll talk about that later.
Say that one again.
I forgot to mention crystals too, but we'll
crystal healing, awesome. Yeah, and of course, aromatherapy. You know.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, we missed that one. That's like one of the main ones. Burning sage, and you know, some people think it's just for the smell, but back to the fundamentals, right? Everything is energy, everything is vibration, everything is frequency, and these have an impact on other energies when it comes into contact with our aura or our being, right? It has an effect on us. It has an effect on our mood, right? For example, when you dim a light, okay, there's a reason why lovers dim the light when they about to, you know, you know, hanky panky, whatever you want to call it. They dim the light for a reason, because it creates because when they want to knock the boots, how was you would say, you know what I mean?
There we go, knocking boots.
You know what I'm saying? Because it creates a mood for real, right? The same way, like after a long night's of rest and you, I don't know, go to the kitchen or the living room and you open up that curtain and you let that sunlight in and that light hits you, that has an effect on your mood. Or just stepping out the door and the sunlight hitting you, it has an effect on your mood. Or you listen to different types of music. Sad music will make you feel sad if you're not strong enough, right? Good, feel good. God. Mm-hmm.
No, I like that you mentioned that, because all of those things, though, they sound like very simple and common and all that, but it takes a lot of present awareness, to really receive the power of those methods. Because, like you said, people will smell something and say, "Oh, it just smells good." But if you are present with that smell, you're gonna have a whole different effect than just smelling it. You know, you're intentioning your presence with everything. You opening up those blinds, you're having that moment, you in that light, you know, and just dimming, you're having a moment, you're in receiving mode because you're present. So I love that.
Yeah. Because like, you know, that, and then as I was saying, just on the fundamental level, if you have trouble understanding it, which I'm sure nobody should, but even still, everything has a vibration, everything has a frequency, and you come in contact with that. If you're not strong, if you're not grounded, if you're not fully aware, it can shift your mode, and you might not be aware of it. Also, coming into contact with other people who might be on a different frequency, negative or positive. Hopefully positive, because if they influence you with a positive energy, then that's good. But if it's a negative energy and you're not fully aware of it, even worse. Yeah, I mean, I've experienced that. We've all experienced that. You hang out with someone for even just 5 minutes and you walk away kind of like, whoa, what is wrong? Whoa, I'm feeling a little off.
Yeah.
You know, I've experienced that a lot because I'm considered an empath. You know, that's what they define it as. I'm a receptive person, so I pick up on energies very, very quickly and easily. So, you know, I've had a lot of experiences where either I've gone to an event or I had a conversation with a certain person and then my energy just dipped, or I go around someone else and my energy just skyrocket. I leave that person unmotivated. Some people are aware of this and some people aren't. I would advise everyone to become aware of it because you have to protect your energy. Energy is what you have to stay alive and to be active, as we saw, and accomplish and achieve. You need energy, you need life force to achieve and accomplish your goals. So the bonds that you have, the people that you associate with, the things that you keep in your space, even the colors you wear, you need to know what the colors on the frequency, the frequency of the colors, what effect or impact they have on you.
Yes.
You should know these things because they do have an impact on you, whether you believe it or not.
Yes.
Even listening to this right now is having an impact on you.
Yes. Yes.
Hopefully for the better, right? So so sidebar, I wanna talk about what do you think about what's going on with Kanye right now? We talking about energy and all of that.
Right. Oh my God.
We're talking about energy. Because this dude started off the year all over the place. I'm like seeing Kanye left and right, the documentary, and I'm like, man, this energy that came in really gave him a boost because he is all over the place. You know what I mean? So, yeah, what do you think about that situation? And his family.
So my thoughts on it, if I'm being honest,
yes.
My thoughts on it definitely, I'm not knocking what that man has gone through during his career. You know what I mean? It's a lot to be human and in the industry, right? Because people are still human, but they're still in the industry and there's still a certain look that they have to maintain, a certain image, a certain narrative, but then they also want to be themselves because they're still human. And I think that's where Kanye is right now, with just trying to break through the barriers of what they are trying to create for him, and then him just kind of saying, you know what, F all that. Which I feel like he's always been that. I feel most creatives are like that, just kind of going outside of the box and going against the grain and just, being overly expressive sometimes, but it just only appears that way to people who just don't get it or whatever. And it's not always for people to get, but it's just interesting because I know that Kanye, he speaks a lot about things for the people and for the Black community, etc. And then, he gets with a white woman and then he starts dating another white woman, then he starts dating another white woman. And then now it's about his kids.
A lot of contradictory behavior. I witnessed it. I'm not, sorry to cut you, but I'm not the type to, really pay attention to that Instagram drama.
Same.
But it was just, I saw it keep coming up about how he was posting and deleting stuff, right? Yeah. And so I just said, all right, let me go to his page and see what was going on out of curiosity for just a hot moment. And what I did realize is he does do this thing where he contradicts himself a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So there was a situation with the new boyfriend that Kim is with, Pete, or whatever his name is. Kanye called him out for using profanity, right? Yeah. And then in another post or something like that, he did the same thing. So there was a lot of pointing finger, but what he was pointing finger for, he wasn't pure of it himself. And it's really the reason why I wanted to bring this up, because it still relates to energy, right? In the sense that a lot of times, we are so caught up in other people that we're not fully aware of what is even going on, not only within us, but what we give off, right? Like, for example, we've all had those times where we took a minute in the mirror and be like, I didn't even realize when I smile, my face does this, or I didn't even realize that when I talk to people, I kind of look off too often, or whatever it is. We've all had those moments of truth where we realize we do something that we're not fully aware of, right? And that ties back into the whole energy thing, right? In the sense that what's really going on inside of you energetically will show in some type of way. And when you're not aware of that, that's usually why you face a lot of conflict and backlash with people. Because I mean, most people don't want to be in. Can we agree that, like, I don't really think people set out on a mission to be like, yo, I'm gonna get in conflict with people today.
Right. Oh yeah.
Right. It's just more. It's more so sometimes we have strong opinions, strong beliefs, and then when someone challenges that, boom, that's where you have a conflict. You know, or when you try to impose what you believe or what you think on someone else.
Yes,
that's a big one. You know, it's a big one. It's where I know you've experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely experienced that, where you put yourself in the presence of someone, and all of a sudden you find yourself resisting the pressure to do something you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Right. Go
right.
ahead. Yeah.
No, right. I mean, but it's like the intention is good. It's just that resistance, though, is what causes you to feel like now it's something that is not so good after all, you know?
Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, you know, watching the whole thing going on with Kanye, it, like you said, being in the industry, the pressure, you know what I mean? Because think about it. Why does this man a billionaire? Not that should really mean much, but we don't state that too. Because that's an accomplishment of his, right?
Yeah.
Why does he feel the need to handle his personal issues as such on his Instagram page, right? This is a lesson and a reminder for us all, because now he's in a situation where they pulling stuff from up under him. I heard that he's not gonna be able to perform at the Grammys no more. People is petitioning for them to get rid of his deal with The Gap. You know what I mean? His partnership with The Gap, all of these things, right? And on top of him already having challenges with his family, all because he wanted to broadcast his business to people who can't fix it.
Right.
If anything, make it worse, because we all view things differently. We come from different cultures, we come from different backgrounds, and yes, it is true. Sometimes just because someone disagrees with you don't mean that what they believe is right.
Right.
The actual solution is you shouldn't even be talking to them about it anyway. Once you realize that they on a whole different, they in a whole different mind state with this subject, the real solution is keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Because, I just wanted to touch on that, because we can learn a lot from what Kanye is going through right now. That's the point.
Absolutely. You're right. No, you're right. Because the average person, whether, you're famous or not, the average person in this day and age has used Instagram as their diary. You have people all the time, it can either be a sub, but a lot of people are showing their hand, they're showing everything front and center on their Instagram. This is what it is. Even if it's a subliminal, they'll make a post after that, like, this ain't for nobody.
Guilty conscience.
I'm just saying. But either whether indirect or direct, I feel like on average, a lot of people are using social media as their diary,
as an outlet, and it goes on.
As an outlet, they're venting and they're hoping that, they could get something. Sometimes most people are just getting it out. But nonetheless, like, when we're talking about energy, him alone putting that out there, the energies of those that are feeding into it, that have something to say about it, that have an opinion, they're
like if you just look in the comments alone, that's 20,000 people are commenting. Not to mention how many people are liking it.
Yeah, right.
As an energy sensitive person,
yes,
I don't know, and maybe Kanye is that he's not fully aware, but. That's another thing we have to be mindful of, and this is what we can go into next: protecting the energy and the different means of how we go about doing that. Because once you put yourself on a platform, any type of platform, you're exposed.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
People just becoming aware of you and focusing on you, right? There's an energy being directed to you now. It can be what they think about you, the different opinions they have about you, whatever it may be. These are all being directed at you right now. And to share an experience that I'm sure a lot of us has had and hasn't really got full understanding of what it is. I'm sure you've had that experience where you think about, we even had that experience. You think about something, they call you, they text you, right? And you be like,
I have this all.
And we be like, oh my God, what a coinky dink. You know what I'm saying? We be like,
right.
What a coincidence. Or you'll be walking down the street and keywords, it'll come to you, right? Like out the blue. You'll just be walking down the street and someone that you probably didn't expect to think about in like 2 weeks or 2 years will just pop in your head. Then when you make that right turn around the corner, you bump into them. I'm sure it's happened to you at least once. Or if not in that way, something similar.
No, in that way.
And I know everyone that's listening has had this type of experience. So what is really going on there? Back to the fundamentals. We're all connected because of energy, life force. There's one life force energy that we all share. We're breathing it in. You know what I'm saying? And so when we have these experiences, what we're actually experiencing is proof that we are connected.
Yes.
These experiences, all they're doing is proving that we're connected. I thought about someone, they call me. And me, I'm highly sensitive. So I even got to be careful not to think about someone too strongly because they'll contact me. Straight up.
Yeah, absolutely. I just had this experience last time, but mine is pretty intense too, just because I do feel that I feel like my awareness is very heightened as well.
Yes.
And I feel everything. But yeah, to the point where I literally will say something that someone else is thinking, but not even in the sense of like a general aspect. Like, no, I would literally say something someone else was thinking verbatim, I've had experience like that as well. But, and we all have access to that. I think, some are more heightened than others, innately. However, I do feel just with energy, just with chi and all that, you can cultivate this energy and it can be strengthened and, you can use it to your advantage, So it's like when you're tapping into that kind of energy, you're going to start seeing it manifest in certain examples like we shared. And that's just also, it excites me, because it shows like, wow, it solidifies it like, okay, okay, you ask, you start playing, you start dancing with the idea, you start doing the different things to really tap in. And now you're
attracting it. Yeah.
But you can use that to manifest anything you want.
Here's another one.
When people are saying, it's hard for me it's like I do all the different practices, I do this, I write it down, I say it, but it's like, what's your energy like though? Because if it's not aligned and if it's not balanced, you can repeat whatever you want, you can say what you want, you can, but it has to be aligned and you have to do other things to strengthen that. So
absolutely. Or how about the one where, like me, I have my moments where I have a favorite car. Right?
Oh, and then you start seeing
it. And then you just start seeing the car like nonstop. I remember I went through an Infinity phase. Like my first car was an Infinity. And when I was going through my Infinity phase, it's like if no one told me, I would think that it was predominantly infinities on the road because I would look left, I would look right, I would look up, down, I would see infinities. But it's, as they say, the law of attraction. What you focus on grows.
And then also I like, where your focus goes, energy flows.
Yes, that too. Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Right. And so let's talk about protecting energy. So we because we're not gonna get too deep today. I mean, we don't have to make this more than one episode, but so we could fit it in. So we understand energy and its fundamental. Now it's everyone's job who's listening to further dive in. Maybe in the comments of this when I post it, I could recommend some books. You could hit me up. I could recommend some books that have even changed my life, believe it or not, where you can learn more about this. But yeah, let's talk about protecting energy. Wise Essentials. I know you sell some products, right? One of the popular ones that a lot of people probably do know about, which is known for cleansing one's energy field, or what some people call an aura, right? It's sage, right? Sage, right? So let's talk about sage a little bit, what you know about it and how you used it, and maybe some other things in your that you sell. in your business that are good for energy protection?
Yes. So sage definitely has been around for centuries and has been used in a lot of different cultures, not just one in particular. But it has been used to cleanse your energy field, and it pretty much, scientifically, it can actually cleanse your air. So I always like to offer that to people who may not want to dive into the whole spiritual aspect of it. They can still gain the benefits even though they're not aware that they are, but it actually
cleaning the air.
It can clean your air. So it has been proven to clean, I want to say between like 89 to 92% of certain toxins that are present in the air that you breathe.
Yes. And that says a lot, because if that's just doing that in the air,
then imagine, right? And that's just the technical aspect of it. But on the spiritual side, yes, it definitely cleanses the energies. And so I always suggest for people who are moving into a new space, who are leaving a space, who are cultivating a space, or whatever it is, just to cleanse your space, to cleanse your aura. I like to cleanse my son and my aura before we leave the house. And just setting my intentions. And you are using one of the 5 elements, which is fire or air, while you're using that. And so you're pretty much, cleansing the energies, the energy fields, and removing the toxic energies and rebalancing your energies. So I always like to say a prayer when I'm saging my space to not only remove, but restore. So I'm removing what's no longer here, what I no longer want, what's no longer allowed, and I'm restoring the energy so that I can, start fresh. So, the aroma, it definitely does things to your brain chemically, like even just smelling it, like it's very powerful. It's a very powerful tool. I've used it for a while, even before I started Wise Essentials. And even my son, he gets excited. He says his prayers and he like waves it around and he does it to me, And I just like to bring up the fact that I'm, instilling that in him and getting him to do that, because at 4 years old, I had no idea what sage was. I never knew, I didn't know what it was like to meditate at 4. Like, it's tough to get a child to meditate, but it's definitely really good. So, so sage is one. I love Palo Santo as well. It's basically, it translates to holy wood. Palo Santo translates to holy wood. It's derived from Peru, I believe. And it's from a holy tree, and it's harvested because, the wood pieces tend to fall every so often, and then they kind of gather them up, and it can be burned, and it smells really good. It has like a pine lemon kind of smell to it. And what I like to use Palo Santo for, it actually really heightens your creativity, the smell. So when I cleanse my space, I like to restore it with Palo Santo or set the tone in my space with Palo Santo. But that's another like smudging or cleansing method. And then, certain crystals are really...
I got some more.
Yes, same. I always have to wear it. And, it's so funny. I was listening because, it's a lot of different ideas behind crystals and the way crystal energy works. And a lot of people like to say, oh, well, it's just a piece of rock, it doesn't do much. Like, how could this do anything? And I always like to bring up, at the end of the day, it's really like a placebo effect. Allow that to be that for you if you want to be more technical about it, and just, where your focus goes, energy flows. And, if you're focused on this, it's a simple reminder, so if you learn that the rose quartz is really good for love and for your heart, and you have one with you, and you kind of practice what it's like to just kind of go back to what it means to love in a state of like chaos, or if you're feeling fearful or there's some negative energy around. I think just being able to have something so powerful that also still holds energy though, just like we hold energy, crystals hold energy. And so even if you don't want to believe that it will work, there has been people that have purchased crystals for me that have never used crystals ever used crystals, and literally would text me like days later, like, I meditated, I did what you suggested I do, and this happened. Like, I don't know what it is, but this, and it was just the belief. I said, at the end of the day, I've never used crystals before, but just this one time, I want you to believe in it as if you've always learned you've always known this to be real, just believing it to that extent. Yeah. And tell me, what your experience is like. And 9 times out of 10, well, in my experience, 10 out of 10, most people have, expressed that they felt the power of using crystal energy. And
I want to say something on that really quickly, is that I've made a lot of changes within myself over the years, because I really got deep into like metaphysics, if you want to call it that, self-help, self-improvement, spirituality, all the different names, whatever, it's pretty much the same in a way. But when I started that, the reason I was able to make so many leaps is because one thing my father always instilled in me is never just write something off or just blow something off just because you don't understand it initially, maybe, or it don't make sense to you, or you've never heard it before, or because you're hearing it from a kid and not an adult, or whatever.
Right.
So what that developed in me is, if I hear something, as crazy as it might sound, I'm gonna do my homework on it.
Yes.
Right? Yes. A quote just came to me. I love this one, right? Because one man's garbage is another man's treasure. Mm-hmm. Right? So I could be throwing away something that's really a gem. Right? Yeah. And, so we do that a lot of times. Like, I've been vegan, vegetarian over 10, 15 years now.
Wow.
To the point where I don't even talk about it no more. See, like when you first learn about things, and 10, 15 years of knowing something, it becomes so you that you start to believe that everyone else is like that.
Uh-huh. Yes, that's true.
Because I remember when I was first getting into all this stuff, like how we talking on this podcast.
Yeah.
I wanted to go pull the strangers off the street. Like, yo, you.
Come check.
I got so accustomed and drenched in it that I gotta remind myself, like, yo, not everybody's woke. Or something will happen to remind me, like, yo, not everyone is woke. You know what I mean? But I say that to say, I got to that point. In all modesty, I got to that point because I didn't have a problem taking the time. As you saw me do just now, I went on Google and I read the definition of energy. I'll go on Google, not just Google. I'll go on Google. I'll go read some books on energy. I'll go read some books on life force energy. And if you have common sense, what you'll do is you'll see that, okay, Google's saying the same thing. That guy on YouTube is saying the same thing. This professor is saying the same thing. This spiritual teacher is saying the same thing. Okay, so it has some truth there, right? Because one thing that we all universally understand as individuals is truth. When truth hits you, you can't deny it.
Yes.
You can try, but we know truth once we get the reasoning behind it, and you do the equation and it adds up and it give you the answer that they was telling you supposed to get. Meaning, if you work out, if you put some resistance on your muscles, that is going to rip and it's going to grow, and you actually experience that, there's no more room for doubt.
Yes.
So the thing is, if you haven't done what do they call that in science? There's a term for it.
When you have like a theory and then you take the experiment.
Yeah, what is it called again?
I don't know.
It's right here.
Right, it's between theory and conclusion.
Yeah, but basically there's a process.
Yeah.
Give me people, but it's not here right now. But when you have something that in your mind might be theory, which is fine, make sure you do the necessary homework to know whether or not that's of value to you, because you could be throwing away something that could change your life. And I'm talking from experience.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I had high cholesterol at 16.
Wow.
Because I was greedy. Let me just put it like I used to eat everything and a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And because I didn't know any better, and this is a quote. I actually posted these on my story earlier today. There's a quote that that Lupe said in one of his songs. He said, struggle teach you how to be humble, and being poor teach you how to hustle, right? And you could twist that a little bit to say that, yo, struggle make you wise, pain make you wise. Because when my health started to decline at such a young age, like people looking like, why you got high cholesterol? Why your hands getting swollen? You only 16. And the effects that it start to have on me, it humbled me and brought me down to actually seek help and knowledge on how to reverse it. And here I am today, 15, 16 years later, vegan, vegetarian, and I don't have these problems anymore. I don't have high cholesterol. I don't have inflammation in my all these things. They're gone. You know what I'm saying? But that was because I didn't just have these experiences and be like, oh, whatever, it's just fate. You know, keep it moving. No, I took the time to look at what I was clearly doing wrong to reverse that. So you sharing these things about sage and crystal and all these things, yeah, it might sound like, right. How is that even? I understand. I've been there. We've been there. Just do the homework, though. We'll read up on it. Read up on the studies that they've done on why these things actually work. We got to get out of a habit as a people of writing things off, throwing things away before we do the actual research on the stuff to see how it can actually help us. So I wanted to put that in there, but continue. You talk about crystals. What about that crystal right next to you? What is that one?
Oh, so I have amethyst and I have rose quartz. These are some of my favorite. I really like
amethyst is a Pisces stone, I heard.
Amethyst?
Is that?
You know what? It might be a Pisces stone because it is associated with our third eye and our crown. Okay. Mostly the third eye, but it's kind of like in between. But yeah, and then that's where your intuition and, you know, your higher conscious level of awareness exists. Nice. So I can see, because most Pisces are very intuitive. So I can see that being that. But yeah, so, you know, amethyst is really good to heighten that spiritual awareness, to connect with your third eye. It's just kind of like seeing without seeing. They call it a third eye for a reason. It's seeing without sight. It's a whole nother level of sight. And then your rose quartz is really good for your heart, your heart chakra, your love, your compassion. Because, you know, love is everything. Love can transmute all energy. Definitely.
What I wanted to share is, you know, the Eastern Asians have something called Feng Shui. We spoke about Feng Shui, and you know, once you start to learn these different things, you start to actually see how you can combine them, right? So in studying Feng Shui the other day and understanding the different directions and how they have an effect on my personal energy, this is what I do on my free time, guys. I don't watch TV. I mean, I do sometimes. But, you know, like I sat down and I really took the time out to see what directions are favorable for me. So like you have something called your career direction. So they do usually tell you to put your desk facing that way when you do your work, your creative work or your business, for example. Then you have a health direction. They'll tell you to sleep with your head facing that direction. And that's the power of Feng Shui. And again, it might sound crazy, but try it. Read the books on it. It's an actual study. It's a science. There are people actually. These are experts. There's experts that I not personally know, but I know as people I've studied under, that make a full-time living doing Feng Shui for businesses. Meaning they'll go into business and say, you know, put this here, or even they work with contractors when they're actually building the building to know where to face the building and what direction, etc., because they know these things work. This is an ancient practice. So I said that to say, when you were talking about crystals, when I found out about my relationship direction, right? Yeah. I put a rose quartz in that corner. That's the north direction for me. I put a rose quartz in that corner in a bowl of water. And now haters will say this is not true. Yo, 2 days later, like people that didn't call me in like weeks was calling me all on the same day. Haters will say that's not true. I'm so serious. It was, and I have these and you see, like being so immersed in this, you have a lot of like whoa experiences that you can't even really talk to about people because they'll say that. You're like, you bugging.
Right. Yes.
And so you know what I'm saying? You gotta kind of like suffer with it a little bit. Like, yo, this really just happened. Like, these people I ain't speak to in weeks just reached out to me all on the same day. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Personal experiences I have, or, you know, just to share one more, like when I do my Qigong, you have a wealth direction, you have a health direction, you know what I mean? And these different directions, there's a current of energy that's already flowing in the atmosphere. So when you face that direction, what's happening is you're opening yourself up to receive it. That's all it is. There's not more to it. Mm-hmm. Right? So in combination with you already doing the breathing exercises, which is harnessing and building up your life force energy, you're also putting yourself in a direction where you're getting slapped by that energy too. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things out here that we can see, because when you look at me, you probably wouldn't think I know these things, right? But you know, I like being off the radar. You know what I mean? I like people to think that I don't know anything, because then, you know, you have less arguments. I don't like arguing. I'm an artist in the flesh. I just want things to be cool and chill and good vibes. Don't contest me. You know what I mean? So but you know, for the premise of what we're doing here, you know, these are things that I've decided to share, and this is why I've brought you on as a co-host today. But yeah, tell us some more things that, and interesting to know, like likewise and the name of your business. We had, that's dope, right?
Either.
Yeah. We didn't plan that, guys. I promise. No, we didn't plan that.
You've already created this. You've already had one episode already that has aired. So, my company was already, I already started that a few years back. But yeah, so, with crystal energy, that's kind of how it works. And I really like the fact that nowadays there's way more people that are interested in this kind of stuff. So even if we speak about those who the haters will say, a lot of those haters are actually interested.
They're converting.
You feel me? So they're like, okay,
they need help.
Yes. And I'm going to just kind of like talk about even just why and what I really aim to do, because I've been through a crazy few years. I mean, even this year alone, it's not even halfway through, but it's been Kanye ain't the only one going through it. You feel me? So like we all going through it. Yeah. Yes, we're all going through it, but just, going on this spiritual journey and embarking on a spiritual journey and just knowing that it is a journey and there is no destination. And just, my goal, I go as far as like really ripping away from this 3D matrix that we're in. And just, really being content and okay with everything. My goal is to just kind of give people practical ways to just start their journey so that they can realize that the power is literally within themselves. I think I grew up learning that, there was a man upstairs, literally like above the clouds. And that's the only person that could save me. And I have to make my way there. And this is how I get there. And, and it's just like all of these ideas and, not to like knock anyone's like religion or belief system.
Not at all.
It's just really just, the goal of Wise Essentials is to help you understand the power that you have within you. And, like I said, it represents wholeness. And what wholeness truly is, wholeness being one aspect of it. But what wholeness really is just, when you embark on, or when you come in contact with wholeness, you have no you don't feel like you need or want anything more than what you already have in this moment. You already whole, you already have everything you need. Abundance exists in just life in general. And when we talk about manifestation, we talk about aligning with that. And I know it's harder for people to see things that's not there yet, but the fact that you can think it literally is a proven fact that it can exist. And so if you don't take anything else from listening to this, just knowing and embodying that power that lies within you and really just taking the time to strengthen that internal energy within you, all things are possible. These are just different tools that you can use as like tangible evidence that it can be done. But you know, it's all within. It's all within. And some of the books I will say that has helped me is because I feel that life is all perspective. And when I talked about the placebo effect, I mentioned that because, you know, a lot of people who are, you know, more about like actual proof that they can point to or whatever, it pretty much is one of those things that I lost my train of thought, but it's one of those things that you kind of, books. So yes. Agreements, that's what I was going to say. The 4 agreements is something that I think is very universal. I think a lot of people can apply it to their lives. It's very simple. And I always try to go for simple because I know this work can be pretty complex and just kind of learning all the different spiritual modalities. And, you know, we leave it up to people like you, Tuu Ra, to teach us about Bazi astrology and Qigong. And, you know, you've done the 10, 15 years work, you know, for us. But for people who want to have like more practical ways, the 4 agreements is really good because it talks about just 4 simple agreements you can apply to your life. And it's listed as agreements. It lists these things as agreements because whatever you agree to typically is real for you. Like if you can agree with yourself that this is what life is about, or you can agree that, you know, this religion is the way to, you know, the spiritual realm or whatever, it will be real for you. That will be real for you. You know, if you can believe that this crystal will, you know, heighten your spiritual awareness or heal your heart or bring those or attract, you know, love into your life, it will happen because that's just what, you know, your focus is.
I mean that they say that's how great miracles are performed. You can't perform a great miracle without a strong belief system. Because if you don't believe it, it's already failed.
Yes, because literally it's the energy. It's all about it literally manifests itself into that matter being something that's tangible and real and in your face. But yeah, exactly. So the 4 agreements is really good just because you're able to just use 4, you know, agreements to apply to your day-to-day to kind of like practice strengthening, you know, or balancing your energy to further manifest, you know, your life and not to just kind of like tie into what we were taught is important. Because even you mentioning like Kanye being a billionaire, you know, to most people, even those who have done the spiritual work, you know, a lot of our like ultimate goals is to kind of be wealthy and all that, because we do live in a capitalist society, and you know, it does kind of rock up our root chakra a bit because it makes us
aim for happiness first.
Exactly. Because, you know, but most people feel like happiness is the money, though. They feel like, you know.
And then they find out the hard way, right?
Gotta have money. Right. Yeah. Right. But then you start to realize that that's not what it is, because you got rich folks that are really, you know, going through it. But yeah, I know we were going to mention like some, you know, practical ways or some books.
Yes.
Yeah, no, but I was mentioning, you know, the 4 agreements is definitely a really good.
That helped you.
Yeah, that has helped me. Yeah, it talks about, you know, how to just not take things personal, to always do your best. You know, they're very simple, but it kind of expounds on what it means to always do your best. Because if you're always just reminding yourself that what I'm doing is my best, then, you know, the outcome, the feeling behind that, the effects you have on the people around you will ultimately always be good, because you won't be so hard on yourself, and you'll be able to practice forgiveness and stuff like that. So
yeah, I could recommend a book too, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Yeah, I was about to say. I love that. Yeah, that's a very good book. Which is something we should go over really quick for too. The importance of mindfulness, being in the present moment. Because as we spoke, again, we go back to the fundamental energy. Even to think requires energy.
Yes.
If you didn't know that. Thinking is burning. When you think, you're using up your energy, right? Daydreaming, you're using up your energy. Dreaming, all of that, verbal think, whatever, everything requires energy. Nothing is left out. So if you're a person that does a lot of mental work, you do a lot of overthinking, especially, just keep in mind that these things do drain your energy if they're done excessively. And so what mindfulness is the practice of is training your mind to clear the thoughts and make yourself present in the moment, only focusing on what's around you in the now.
Because that's where energy, God, divine exists.
Exactly. That's why
God,
we were put here.
To be here now. God exists in the future. God is here and God is now.
Exactly.
So that's why it's powerful.
Yes. And so in doing that, right, then of course now you preserve a lot of energy because you're not dissipating it on just random thoughts, random thinking, just excessive daydreaming, excessive overthinking. Like I've been there. I ain't perfect. I've like, zeroed my energy out on just overthinking or worrying for the day. Right. It's a real thing. So mindfulness can help with that. So let's close out with some ways that people can, as I do, that people can start simply with working on their vitality. I mentioned one just now, mindfulness. So to go further with that, you can do a mindfulness meditation. Mm-hmm. Mindfulness meditation is when, of course, you sit, you focus on your breathing, and you draw your attention back to your breathing every time your mind wants to drift and think and dwell on certain thoughts. In doing this over time, you'll develop the habit of remaining present when you're in your waking state and you're out and about, right? So that's one way. Of course, meditation is bringing in a lot of life force energy with that deep breathing, right? So you're bringing in energy and you're learning how to preserve the energy by staying present, right? That's right. One. Exercising. Don't sleep on exercising, man.
No, that's an active meditation as well too.
Like going for that nice jog, getting that heart pumping, that blood flowing, because you gotta understand what happens is when the blood is flowing, that blood flow is circulating oxygen throughout the body. Mm-hmm. Right? And the more circulation you have, the more vitality you have. That's why athletes, are very healthy in that sense, because they're always active. And remember, what is one of those keywords we just saw in the word energy? Right. Activeness, right? Drinking water, eating good foods. Mm-hmm. This is a whole nother discussion though, but be mindful what you put in your mouth.
Food holds energy.
Food holds energy. Just because it tastes good don't mean it's good for you. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have it at all, but a lot of us weren't taught moderation. It's like you can have it, but you're not gonna, sorry to put it out there, but my grandmother to the day don't refuse to eat her greens. She don't want to eat no greens. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I know a lot of elders that don't want to eat this.
You don't want to eat your greens, and then you wonder why you aching, and you got because there's minerals, there's things. This is what I'm saying. You got to go read them books, do your homework. There's certain things that the Most High, the Creator, put in these things to nourish our bodies so that we can have energy. We fight a lot. Okay, we got to get out of this habit of fighting things that are good for us. Yes. A lot of us are looking for light and then salvation in dark places and running from the light and salvation that's right in our face.
Yes.
I talk to people that refuse to drink water.
I know a lot of those.
Like they don't want to drink water. They don't want to go to sleep on time at least 2-3 days out the week. They fight the things that will literally help them to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish.
Yes.
Process that. You know what I'm saying? So like when I'm talking to someone, they say, "Oh, you don't eat meat," and they think I'm just doing it because I'm like superstitious. No, I read some books. I educated myself, and I understand that in eating certain things and not eating certain things, it will have an effect on my energy and my life force, which will give me more energy to do. The more energy, okay, let's make it simple. The more energy you have is the more capacity you have to achieve and accomplish your goals. We accomplish goals, we accomplish things in life with the amount of vitality we have being in abundance. The less energy you have, the less you'll be able to accomplish because you have no energy.
Exactly. It's that simple.
That simple. Don't complicate it. Yeah. I know a lot of us, we like to defend our vices, we like to defend our habits. but there's a point where you start to, go in the realm of being stupid. A stupor, you sleeping. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta wake up, like you're doing things that's subtracting from your success, all because you don't want to let it go. So you justify not letting it go. Anyway,
yes,
you get the point.
Yes.
So any that you'd like to share?
Untethered soul is actual practical. You're right. So rituals, just having some kind of schedule.
Let's say regimens, because some people don't like that word.
Rituals. I love it actually, but all right.
I know we do.
Okay, regimens. Cool.
But so okay, define it then, so people can know what you mean.
Or just no, but you're right, because we're also thinking of practical, modern. We're trying to keep it in that realm, but yeah. So just creating some consistent pattern in the ways in which you start your days, because that is just the most powerful. The moment before you fall asleep and the moment in which you first wake up, you are coming from a state of consciousness that is like literally the total opposite, like being actually awake and being asleep. So just the hormones that are being awakened in your body, the certain chemicals in your brain that are kind of like reorganizing themselves when you wake up. It's a lot going on within us. So I think just having some form of like pattern or consistency in the ways in which you wake up is a really good way to cultivate that energy too. So, like for me, I like to wake up and say a prayer, sit in silence. Actually, what I learned, there was a book that I read called The Morning Miracle or something. Morning Miracle. And they had a SAVERS, which was like an acronym for just 7 things that you can do in the rise or morning. And so you had S being the silence, so just sitting in silence. A being affirmations, repeating just some nice affirmations to yourself. V being visualization, so just visualizing, having like a short moment of visualizing a really beautiful day. E being exercise, R being reading something, and then S being scribe, to just write it out. So just journaling, reading a short passage, just kind of fueling your mind and body and spirit of just positive thoughts, positive affirmations, positive energy, to just set the tone for the day. You know what I mean? So I think just having a consistent pattern.
Love it. Yeah. All right, folks. All right, world. This one was packed. Loaded.
It was.
You know what I mean? If you didn't get something from this one, I don't know.
Man, stay tuned for next, because it's way more to talk about.
Oh yeah. Like I said, we touched on a lot of things that deserve its own episode, and so we're gonna be picking from that, and we'll definitely have you back as a co-host. It was awesome having you today, Michel'Le. You still got some daylight over there in LA. Enjoy that.
I know it's evening over there right now, nighttime almost.
The sun going down on the Apple Watch, so I know.
I will leave with my handle so that people can know where to follow me. So you can follow my business page at Shop Wise Essentials. That's Shop Wise Essentials, and then my personal Instagram is Forever Evolving with 2 G's. Awesome.
And you know where to find us. Again, episode 2 of Likewise Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we are out. Peace.
Thank you.